YouTube? Y'all be coming. Why Blue Clues is a fantasy inside of Law and Order? Have y'all ever watched Law and Order? I always hear through the grapevine, but I ain't gonna lie. Growing up, I didn't want to hear that type of stuff. Like, is it like First 48 where they be talking about like what be happening in this city and that city? Like my mom be like, she love that shit. I can't, bro. That it literally makes me paranoid and drives me crazy. But let's go ahead and get into the video. Welcome new people, new subscribers. What is it?
Hi there. Blue's Clues is an educational children's
tough.
TV show about a man named Steve who lives in a magical world where he spends his day talking to inanimate objects, jumping through picture frames, and trying to find clues to help understand his magical blue dog. Law and Order is a gritty, realistic police procedural / legal drama that involves New York City homicide detectives trying to solve murders and prosecute criminals. These two shows are very different.
Okay.
You could not find two shows more polar opposite than Blue's Clues and Law and Order.
Okay.
And yet, despite this, not only do I believe that these two shows exist in the same universe, but I'm also going to be proving that the entire Blue's Clues show is actually just a fantasy inside of the mind of a single Law and Order side character. Yet,
bruh, I ain't gonna lie. These type of videos be my favorite videos. So listen, I'm gonna let you know, I'm probably gonna be pausing because like I gotta speak about shit. But yeah, I like
serious.
this already.
I know that sounds crazy, but just stick with me.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that I have discovered a 29-year-old
How do you
secret
find
that
this
has
out?
never been talked about before today.
How?
Get ready, because this is the Blue's Clues Law and Order theory.
Wow. Okay, I'm hyped. Why he got him in there, bro? Ooh, y'all hear that? Y'all hear the music? Yeah, I like this. Theory by Alex Bell. Shout out Alex Bell. Dream theory.
By far, the most common type of fan theory is the dream theory.
Okay.
The idea that everything happening in a story is actually all just inside of a character's head, whether they're stuck in a coma, or they're dreaming, or hallucinating, or they're actually dead. Pretty much every piece of media has some kind of dream theory. And it's sort of the lazy, low-hanging fruit of fan theories.
Yeah.
You can just apply it to literally anything, and usually there's never actually any evidence besides, "Whoa, this show is so crazy and unrealistic, that must mean it's a dream!" Ah! And surprisingly, the show seems to have
I think a show should do that. Like, they should make a show, and the very finale be like, the character wakes up. And I feel like it's never been done before, or maybe that I've seen. I've never seen it to be done before, so I think that would be very hard.
Most of these types of fan theories is Blue's Clues. You got Steve is actually schizophrenic, Steve is actually in a mental asylum, Steve is actually a drug addict, Steve is actually in prison, Steve is actually a murderer who killed his parents. Oh my god. Even I made a parody of these theories back in 2017. So yeah, it's a pretty basic, normal kid show. Steve, a 30-year-old schizophrenic who killed his parents, pretends to be a kid. You know, that was before I dedicated my life to making fans.
Look how, brother, see, y'all see the growth in the editing and the beard and like just maturity. Come on, if we all give a clap for that, then you hating. Like I love to see it, and it's just elevation, y'all. This is what I want to see out of y'all. Y'all should not be the same or worse in the next couple years, bro. This is tough.
Kid shows. And look, I understand the appeal of these types of theories. It's fun to take something innocent from your child.
Drew like a dark version of the hamburger helper mascot. Just a glimpse into my dark reality, a full stare to my... Who is this? They need to be on watch. Like, y'all might be thinking I'm joking high. No, they need to be on watch. What the fuck? Nigga said just a full stare into my twisted perspective would make most simple go insane. Bro, this is who y'all be thinking y'all is trying to be mysterious. Y'all need help. You need therapy. Who is this? So we can put them on the bus as quick as possible. You need to go to jail.
Childhood and give it a dark, edgy plot twist. That's kind of literally my job right now. But why are there so many of these theories about specifically Blue's Clues? Well, I think it's because everything about this show has always felt fake. Steve is the only real person in this world. He looks like a young adult, but he acts like a child. And he lives alone in a house where he spends his day jumping into picture frames or talking to unseen voices.
That little jump is tasting. Hold on. I ain't gonna lie, y'all gonna start hating me if I figure out how to make that edit, bro. Y'all finna hate me. I'm finna do that on every reaction. I'm finna just come here. I'm out of here. What are you talking about?
Or inanimate objects. It just kind of sounds like I'm describing someone who is experiencing some kind of false reality. Even the way Steve moves around is strange. He never actually leaves the room. He just kind of pretends to walk in place while this fantasy world moves around him. Come on.
I mean, shit.
Obviously that was more of a filming limitation, but it still adds to this feeling of fakeness.
Yeah.
But other than these surface level weird vibes the show gives off, there's never actually been any strong evidence to prove one of these theories. And believe me, I and others have looked. It has been 28 years since this show first came out. You know, you'd think if there was actually some kind of smoking gun here, we would have found it by now. But what if that's because we've all been looking in the wrong place? So, the other day, I stumbled upon an interesting piece of Blue's Clues trivia. A year after Steve Burns filmed the Blue's Clues pilot, he had a small role in an episode of Law and Order. And I thought the idea of seeing Steve from Blue's Clues in a gritty, realistic cop show was kind of funny, so I decided to track down the 1995 episode titled Cruel and Unusual.
Okay.
Just a heads up, this episode deals with some pretty serious subject matter, so please proceed with caution.
Okay.
In this episode, Steve Burns plays a kid with autism named Kevin Jeffries.
Good morning, how are you? Great. What time is it? 10:15. No, it's 10:18.
We learn that Kevin has trouble communicating with others and often harms himself. So his parents sent him to live in a children's behavioral clinic.
Whoa.
Just what was the behavioral clinic doing for him?
When Kevin was 10, he started to hurt himself.
We didn't know what to do. We couldn't keep Kevin here. We had to send him away.
We later find out that the doctors at this clinic were horribly mistreating him by giving him intense electroshock therapy and forcing him to wear a sensory deprivation helmet for days.
He kept Kathy in this helmet for 3 straight days. This helmet cut off the blood supply to our daughter's brain.
The episode starts with Kevin after he's escaped from the facility, but tragically he gets arrested and later succumbs to the injuries sustained from his abuse and dies.
I don't know, I think the kid's dead.
And the rest of the episode follows the detectives investigating his death. So yeah, this is a very sad and serious episode, and it deals with some real systemic issues that are still a problem today. And like I was saying, this show is clearly very, very different than Blue's Clues. But what I find interesting about this is that for years, people have been trying to prove that Steve is actually in prison or a mental facility, and now we have this piece of media where we see Steve's actor in that exact position, and as far as I'm aware, no one's ever really talked about this. I mean, sure, Kevin's not schizophrenic, he has autism, but seeing as how he was being abused and put into sensory deprivation for days where he couldn't hear or see anything, you can kind of imagine that anyone in that position might...
This is real? Oh my god. So they block where you could hear, see, touch? Why? What? Why? I know some of y'all be knowing. Y'all be knowing everything. Y'all be like, just. I mean, I might do my research after this, but at the same time, y'all can let me know down in the comments.
Try to escape to some kind of fantasy inside of their head. So yeah, I thought this was an interesting coincidence, but at the end of the day, that's kind of all it was.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, just because the same actor shows up in 2 different shows doesn't mean they're actually connected.
Yeah.
But then, I took a closer look at this episode.
Interesting.
And I started to notice more and more weird similarities between Kevin and Steve.
Talk to me.
At first, it just started with some little things. We are told by Kevin's parents that he was learning to draw.
Thanks to him, Kevin was learning to draw.
And in every episode of Blue's Clues, Steve draws in his handy-dandy notebook.
Our handy-dandy
Notebook.
This is getting crazy.
Let's draw a rectangle, and there, cheese.
Okay, but so what? Lots of kids like to draw.
Okay.
But we are also told that when Kevin harmed himself, he was strapped to a chair.
We put them in a chair, and then we hold them there using soft cuffs.
And in every episode of Blue's Clues, Steve spends a lot of time in his thinking chair.
We're ready to sit in our
Thinking chair.
This is getting weird, bro. This is getting weird, bro. This is getting weird. Oh my god, this is getting weird. This is getting nasty. Because if they did do this, right? How do y'all even think like this? Oh, bruh. Y'all like just be like watching theory videos about like, it's not even theory, just like what happened at Nickelodeon, how people just weird in the world and Hollywood and stuff like that, bro. This is insane. This blows my mind.
Now that we're in our thinking chair, let's think.
And then, when Kevin escaped the facility,
Yeah.
he kept asking people what time it was.
What time is it? 10:15. What time?
How you doing today, huh?
What time?
Now, it is common for some people with autism to rely on specific schedules or routines, but what time it is also really important in Blue's Clues.
Really?
What time is it?
What time is it now?
Steve has a
Oh
cleanup time,
my
Just
god.
cleanup time.
a nap time.
It's Blue's nap time.
Now it's time for so long. There's a talking clock, and most
And it adds up so perfectly, because just like how you said, all people with autism usually tend on like routine and schedule stuff. This is, boy, what the actual.
Most of all, every day Steve has mail time.
What is that?
Hey, Blue, the mail's here.
So yeah, there's some weird similarities here, but nothing
Okay.
actually concrete.
We put him
I
in
didn't
a
really
chair.
start to take any of this seriously until I realized. After Kevin escaped, we are told that he went to a movie theater. And guess what he did in the theater?
What?
The movie started at 10. He was out of here by 10 after 10. Got out of his seat, walked into the screens.
Kevin got out of the seat
Yo.
and tried to walk into the screen. Doesn't that sound exactly like Steve Bluska doing into a picture?
Blue's gonna do, we can too.
Got out of his seat, walked into the screens.
This kind of feels like more than a coincidence.
This not even a theory,
So this is
bro.
when I first
This not even a
started to
theory.
consider,
This
is it really possible that Kevin Jeffries from Law & Order is the real Steve, and Blue's Clues is all a fantasy he created to escape
Yes,
his
bro. I'm
abusive
convinced.
reality?
You got me, bro.
Okay, I know you're not convinced yet, and
Ooh, you got me. You got me. Boy, you had me at hello, stupid ass. But you got me. What else? I ain't lie. The most thing that got me was he walked into a screen. Like what? That's his whole thing. The chair kind of got me too, but it's like, yeah. But he got up and walked into the screen. Yeah, but you can. What else?
to be honest, neither was I. But don't worry, we are just
It
getting
gets
started.
deeper.
Kevin's behavioral clinic is in New York City, and the one-time characters actually leave the Blue's Clues fantasy world and go to the real world, they end up in New York.
Okay.
Clues in New York City? This is epic.
Also, in the very first episode of Blue's Clues, we can see a newspaper from the New York Times inside of Steve's house, strongly implying that's
Wow.
actually where he lives. We can
Wow.
also see objects from Blue's Clues in Kevin's life. In Kevin's parents' house, we see a very large salt and pepper shaker, just like Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper.
Hi, Mr. Salt and Mrs.
That
Pepper.
don't really move me. That don't move
And
me.
in the clinic, we can see a red bucket, just like Steve's friend, Pale.
Hello, Pale.
Hi, Steve.
Okay.
Also, when Steve left the show to go to college, he left on a blue bus. And when Kevin escaped the clinic, in his pocket he had a schedule for the Greyhound,
Amtrak schedule, Greyhound schedules.
which is also
A blue bus. Okay.
Alright, those are some more interesting connections, but
They
they're
don't really
probably
get me.
still not completely
Yeah,
solved
that
yet,
one-
right? Well, check this out. When Steve eventually left the show to go to college, he was replaced by his younger brother Joe.
Oh, hi. It's me, Steve's brother Joe.
And later, Joe got replaced by their cousin Josh.
Hi, it's me, Josh.
And not only does...
Josh, where you from? What kind of cousin you is, boy? Where you coming from? I ain't gonna lie, bro. What kind of cousin you is?
Kevin also have a younger brother. But at the clinic, there is a nurse named Joe.
What's your name? Joe Garvey. Joe Garvey, you're under arrest for assault.
And an occupational therapist named Josh.
Take a look at the amended complaint. An occupational therapist, Josh Bingham, was dropped.
I think that Kevin is taking aspects from his real life, like the objects or the names of the people working at the clinic, and applying them to his fantasy.
Wow.
Also, this one is less impressive, but the name Kevin is also the name of the Blue's Clues UK host.
Hello out there, it's me, Kevin.
Also, check this out. Kevin's behavioral clinic has the same initials as Blue's Clues. Yeah? That one's also not that impressive.
Yeah,
but wait.
If anything, you had me convinced. Maybe if you would have started off with all those things, then I would have been like, nah, I don't really. But I was convinced. Now you losing me.
If this theory is true, and all of this is just inside of Kevin's head, then why does the main character of his fantasy keep changing?
Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in.
Well,
that nigga's scary. That last one, he's scary as shit. I ain't gonna lie. They all scary. I don't like how they be looking at me. Like, for some reason, y'all, like, I'm giving y'all tips. If you want to be like a filmmaker, you want to make horror movies, have them look at the camera. I'm gonna get up and walk out, cause that's just, like the same thing with Smile. I hate that shit. I can't watch it for too long, bro. Like, you looking at me,
At first, I thought maybe Joe and Josh could actually just be from two different kids who took Kevin's spot in the clinic after he died. But the clinic gets shut down at the end of the episode.
You made them close the clinic.
So they would all have to be from Kevin. But why? Well, we're told that Kevin has tried to escape from the clinic before.
Well, we called the police this morning as soon as the clinic told us that Kevin ran away. He's done this before.
So, what if every time a host leaves Blue's Clues, it's actually Kevin trying to escape the clinic, and when he's inevitably put back inside,
he's done this before.
His fantasy resets with a new Blue's Clues host.
Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in.
Okay, so there is a surprising amount of connections here. You can't deny that. But it still kind of feels like we're missing something. Like, I can see why Kevin would imagine a fun, colorful world to escape his abuse.
Yeah.
But why is Kevin's fantasy so focused on playing a scavenger hunt game with a blue dog?
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, there's nothing similar to that in this episode. Well, I think to answer this, we need to take a closer look at what Blue's Clues actually is.
Okay. We're gonna play Blue's Clues.
At the beginning of the Law & Order
that
episode,
sounds scary.
Kevin's doctor explained to the detectives why Kevin harmed himself.
It's pretty common with some autistic children. It's frustration because of their inability to communicate.
It's frustrations because of his inability to communicate.
Okay.
Now, autism is a spectrum, and it's a lot more complicated and nuanced than the way TV shows like this tend to portray it. But it is true that some people with autism have varying levels of difficulty communicating. And I think this becomes interesting when we take a look at what Blue's Clues actually is.
Well, what story should we tell? Great idea. We'll play Blue's Clues to figure out what story Blue wants us to tell.
It's a game where you try to understand Blue, a character who has an inability to communicate. This is literally the entire premise of the show. So I think that this is telling us that Blue represents the side of Kevin who struggles to communicate with others. Okay, but where did the idea for a blue dog come from? Like I said, I couldn't find any references to dogs in this episode. The closest visual was this vaguely blue drawing in Kevin's room that I can't really make out, or this teddy bear that kind of had a similar pattern to Blue, but nothing really concrete, which is weird because Blue is such a major part of this fantasy.
Exactly.
But then I realized it doesn't matter if we can't find a direct connection, because in Blue's Clues, Steve didn't actually adopt Blue. In a flashback episode of Blue's Clues, we learned that when Steve was younger, he read a book about a blue dog.
It's a book about a puppy.
Which caused Blue to magically come to life. And I think this is also probably what happened with Kevin. We see that the Children's Behavioral Clinic is full of what we can reasonably assume are children's books. Maybe there's a book in here that also gave Kevin the idea for a blue dog, just like Steve. In fact, this idea of a children's book giving Kevin ideas for his fantasy is exactly what we see at the start of the Blue's Clues intro.
This seems scary, bro. Like, how do you make a show like Blue's Clues scary, bro? Like, the intro just made me scared. Open the book, everything. Yo, I'm getting creeped out. I can't even lie.
Every single episode of Blue's Clues starts with a stack of children's books in the real world, before going inside of a book called Blue's Clues, where the episode takes place. The show literally tells us every episode that Steve's world is fake and comes from a book. And I think this real world full of children's books is actually the Law & Order Behavioral Clinic. And if this is true, that also means that there's probably a book literally called Blue's Clues in the clinic that Kevin is basing his fantasy off of.
Wow.
So even if we never see a blue dog or even hear the name Steve in this Law & Order episode, Kevin still could have gotten all of those ideas from an existing Blue's Clues book in the clinic. Now, the only thing that doesn't really fit with this idea is mail time.
Hello, mailbox.
Hi, Steve. Have I got a letter for you?
Sure, maybe the talking purple mailbox was just something
why does
from
mail
the book,
time matter
but
so much,
there's
though?
no way Steve watching videos of kids in the real world would be something in a children's book.
Look, it's a letter from our friends.
Hi, Steve. This is where we play with our blocks. This goes that way.
So, what are these videos? Well, the behavioral clinic is full of other children.
Want to see what a good day is for some of these kids?
So, I think these videos are Kevin's perception of the other kids. There is just an undeniable amount of connections and similarities between this episode and this show. It just really feels like Blue's Clues is all a fantasy inside of Kevin Jeffries' head.
Yeah.
But at this point, you're probably wondering, could any of this actually be intentional?
And that's what I'm thinking, because you said he did the episode of Law and Order when Blue Clues was already going on or already done. Yeah. I feel like if I'm famous for this role, why not? Yeah, I feel like it's intentional.
Like, if this theory is true, does that mean that the entire plot of Blue's Clues was actually secretly based on this one random episode of Law & Order? I'll admit, that seems unlikely, especially since this episode came out a year after the Blue's Clues pilot was filmed. I think it's a lot more likely that if this was intentional, then it was probably just the Law & Order creators deciding to secretly connect these two shows on their own. Maybe just because they thought it would be funny, I don't know. Or maybe it's some weird mixture of both? Because even years after this episode came out, Blue's Clues does still seem to weirdly line up with it. I honestly don't know. And to be fair, this could all still just be a bunch of weird coincidences and that's it. But regardless of the creator's intent, it still works, you know? And it makes talking about Blue's Clues a lot more interesting.
I gotta give you your credit. Because the fact that you found this, and you went to this level to prove this, is insane, bro. I don't know if this is my first video. I think I've seen a couple videos about you. But this one of the ones, I can't lie.
And at the end of the day, I think that's kind of the point of all of these edgy Blue's Clues fan theories. And this was originally where I planned on ending this video. But there was still one lingering question that was bothering me. If Blue's Clues really is just inside of Kevin Jeffries' head, then what about when Kevin died at the beginning of the episode? I mean, I guess we can just say that the entire Blue's Clues timeline takes place before Kevin's death, and if the show ever gets canceled, then we can just say that that is when Kevin died and the fantasy ended. But what if I told you we've already seen Kevin's death inside of Blue's Clues? So, I recently watched the new Blue's Clues movie from 2022 called Blue's Big City Adventure. And not only did I find even more similarities between this movie and the show, but I believe that this movie is showing us the day that Kevin died and the true end of the Blue's Clues timeline. So, this movie is about Josh, the newest host of Blue's Clues, going on a big adventure to audition for a Broadway musical in New York City.
Blue, we are definitely not in storybook world anymore.
It's kind of what you'd expect out of a modern-day Blue's Clues movie. He goes on a journey to the real world and gets lost. There's lots of wacky hijinks, but in the end, he finds his way and gets the part.
We want you to be the star of our Broadway show.
Yes, of course. Yes. But if you watch this movie with this theory in mind, so many things take on a whole new meaning. The first thing that immediately caught me off guard was the opening song. It's a brand new day. This song is about starting the day, and Josh keeps saying, "Good morning."
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Blue.
And literally, the first thing we hear Kevin Jeffries say is, "Good morning."
So is Donovan. Good morning, how are you?
Despite it clearly being night, we also hear this line in Josh's song.
This life is just like a beautiful dream.
This life is just like a
This is getting weird, bro. It's getting weird.
Interesting. And while Josh sings, the other characters keep telling him to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
It's a brand new day.
Oh, hell no. I don't like that. 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 I like that. Bro, that reminds me of a dream I've had. Oh my god. That's why I think I hate it, bro. I had a dream with like I don't remember it vividly no more, but I remember somebody telling me to wake up in the dream, dog. Hell no. I hate that.
Right away, this movie feels different. Like it's trying to draw attention to the fact that this world is just Kevin's fantasy and it's time for him to leave it. Josh leaves his fantasy world to go to the audition in New York, just like how Kevin escapes the clinic at the start of the episode. And just like Kevin, Josh immediately seems very disoriented by the outside world. Until, of course, his fantasy starts to take over to protect him from reality. But what's interesting about this movie is that for the very first time ever, we get these little glimpses of Blue's Clues from other people's perspectives.
Don't you think so, Madam Mustard? Oh?
What the fuck?
Lovely to meet you. Whoa! Mr. Schultz! Mrs. Pepper! Am I glad?
Bro, if I see another look, y'all, I might click off this video. The way Shawty looked at, bro, and the music, that shit just, boy, that shit just, like, it literally shook me to my core.
To see you! Oh my God!
Like I said, this movie feels different. We learn that Josh's audition is at 3 o'clock, and the whole movie is just him trying to find the audition before time runs out.
What time is it?
It's almost time for my audition! Oh my gosh! We don't have much time, Blue!
Could this be why Kevin kept asking people what time it was?
Oh my god!
Josh also doesn't know where his audition is. All he knows is that it's in a theater somewhere.
Excuse me, do you know the address to the theater? Which theater? I don't know which theater.
Maybe this is why Kevin went to a movie theater after he escaped, because he thought it was his Broadway audition.
I'm about, bro. This is literally blowing my mind. Alex Bell, yo, If y'all haven't subscribed to bro, what are you doing? Go subscribe to him right now. Boy, he got me. I'm hooked. What the?
Now, in the Law & Order episode, shortly after leaving the theater, Kevin gets arrested and then tragically dies in police custody.
Oh,
but that's not what happens in this movie.
Okay.
Josh goes to the theater and gets the part.
We want you to be the star of our Broadway show.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But instead of him leaving and dying like Kevin, we immediately cut to him performing the musical in a big climactic finale.
My dream is a reality.
So, if this movie really is Kevin's final escape, then what if this is what Kevin experiences as he dies? A massive final magical song where he's surrounded by all of the friends from his fantasy, the only people who ever really understood him. Even the old hosts show up for this final send-off for Kevin.
And thank you for making this a day and an adventure that I will never forget.
I'll never forget how you helped me find all those clues. Thanks again for all your help.
No, really. Now it's over. So long.
And that is sadly where Kevin Jeffries' story ends.
Bro, my heart beating fast as shit, boy. Oh my god. This dark, bruh. Can y'all just make why did I watch this? This is so negative. Like, so dark. My god. What the? It's supposed to be Christmas time. I'm supposed to be watching, like, happy-go-lucky stuff. I didn't watch 2 bad things today. See, after this, we watching something positive, because ain't no way.
Ends. Now, I know this final movie theory maybe doesn't have as much evidence as the rest of my theory, but regardless, I like thinking that maybe Kevin found some peace in his final moments. And yeah, I know that this movie came out 27 years after the Law & Order episode, so it's probably a stretch to say that they're still connected. Wait, is that fucking B.D. Wong?
I'm the director of Rainbow Puppet Broadway musical.
B.D. Wong from Law & Order SVU is the fucking director of Josh's musical?
I'm not entirely comfortable labeling the suspect a serial killer. We want you to be the star of our Broadway show.
Holy shit!
We just figured out Blue's Clues. We just figured out Blue's Clues. We just figured out Blue's Clues.
Because this is my job. This is actually my job.
I mean, it's the W job.
Alright, that is my theory. Thank you so much for watching. Hope I didn't ruin Blue's Clues for you. Hey!
No. You definitely, no. You didn't just, you literally ripped it out the root, out the ground. Threw it on the ground that you just ripped it from, threw it into the dirt, got your flamethrower and set it flames. I can't even look at it the same. Shout out to you. You definitely need way more subscribers than you have. That's all I can say, man. Amazing across the board. The editing, the audio. It's everything, bro. You did amazing. Y'all let me know if y'all think this is true. Did y'all have the same reaction I did? Because this has, I don't even want to watch Blue's Clues no more. I'm not letting my kid watch Blue's Clues. I'm sorry, you're not watching it. I'm sorry, you can't do it. Cause now it's gonna be in the back of my head, and I'm gonna feel weird. So I love y'all. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all boys and girls next video. We out. Ugh.